Welcome to the Sheridan Report, brought to you by MyBookie.Ag. For $1,000 cash and bonus on your first deposit, go to thegruelytruth.net, click on MyBookie.Ag banner top of the page. It will take you right there. If you want to go right through MyBookie.Ag to get to the first deposit bonus, just put in the promo code TGT50. I am your host for the Sheridan Report, Mike Goodpaster. And, of course, I want to welcome in Bobby Sheridan. How you doing, Bobby?
Mike, I'm feeling a little bit better. I listened to Survive in Advance, and you took care of my frustrations. You called out the officials. You called out CBS for the not showing the tripping call, the blatant mistake from the referee there. And so I'm putting it past me, and I'm ready to move on to today. I'm excited for today. Today's the best betting card I've seen in about 2 weeks.
All right, Bobby, so let's go ahead and get to that card. We're going to start off in the NBA.
Okay, NBA, before we go over the picks, because it kind of ties hand in hand with the picks today, we've got 2 days left in the NBA, and I want to talk about the standings and how the games relate to the standings today. We've got first game that's affected Memphis against Detroit. Detroit needs to win this game. They're in the 8th spot, and they need they're played 80 of their 82 games. They need to win maybe both, depending on what happens with Charlotte. So Detroit's in a must-win. Oftentimes in these must-wins, the team that needs to win for the playoffs, oftentimes the line is overvalued in their direction. So you sometimes have a play against, and you're going to see that in 2 of our games today. I'm not going to take Memphis in this spot as a play against, however. Next game, Charlotte plays Cleveland Cavaliers. The Hornets are in the 9th spot, 1 game behind Detroit. So if Detroit were to trip up one of these next 2 or both, Charlotte would be the team that could theoretically catch them, not Miami. So Charlotte needs to win today, and this is a bet against spot. They're going into Cleveland, and Cleveland getting the 8 points has been playing hard every game. They're getting great point guard play from Sexton and really getting some bench production. So Cleveland plus the 8 is a bet against spot. Bet against the team that needs to win. Bet against the Hornets tonight. That's one of our plays. We've got 3 more I want to mention, and 2 of them we're going to be playing, okay? The next game is Denver and Utah. You go to the Western Conference, and Denver is trying to hold on to the 2 spot. However, they chose to sit out 3 of their best players, Jokic included, in the last game that they got beat on the road at Portland. They played valiantly, but got beat without 3 of their best players. They now go to Houston tonight, and there's
Utah?
Houston. They go to Utah tonight, and there's still question of whether they'll play any of their guys, even though they're trying to hold on to the 2 spot. Mike Malone, their coach, came out and said, whether we're 2 or 3, that's secondary to where we're at heading into the playoffs as a team, and these guys need some rest. So there's questions on whether they'll play those 3 guys tonight. Jokic is the main one. And then Utah has injuries. They were upset by the Lakers the other night, a game that's going to cost them potentially the 4 spot. And so they can still mathematically get there. They're 2 back with 2 to play, but that game really cost them. The coach was very upset about that, Quinn Snyder. And, injuries is hurting them. Favors is out, Rubio is out, and they have another injury as well. There's 3 main injuries. I can't remember the third one. But there's 3 guys I'll be without. So there's just too much uncertainty in that ball game to play. The next 2 we'll have a play on. Houston and Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City is in the 6th spot, and everybody thought they would be the 8th spot, but they've kind of rebounded and put themselves in position that with another win or 2, they can actually be the 6th spot. But right now that's Houston. The 8th spot's Golden State. You kind of want the 7th spot if the 7th spot winds up being against Denver. It's just all we don't know. But Oklahoma City more than likely really wants to win this game tonight, but so does Houston, because Houston's only a half game behind Denver, and they can catch – this is their last game of the year, by the way, of Houston. And the last game, they can catch Denver should Denver lose at Utah. And Denver has 2 games left. So the 2 spot for Houston would be very crucial. It would keep them away from Golden State until the finals, the Western Finals. So I think Houston is a play tonight on the road, -2. They're on a huge winning streak in terms of like over the last 40 games, something like 35-5 or 33-7 or something. And it's just rolling right into the playoffs. And in my opinion, they're the favorite in the Western Conference Not by the odds, but just to me, I think they're going to win the Western Conference. And then finally, the last game, let's go over Portland and L.A. Well, we already know. We talked about Portland's position. They just need a win to hold down the 4 spot, which would host Utah. But they're not theoretically out of the 3 spot. If Houston loses tonight and Portland wins out, they could get the 3 spot and even the 2 spot. So although it doesn't look likely, Portland was still trying to win tonight. However, the Lakers, well, we already know what they're doing. They're finishing the last 2-3 weeks covering almost every game. Proud to say we've been on that streak, Mike, and we've hit them almost every time about the last 6-7 games. And we're going to go one more time tonight, and I think they can stay in that game with Portland, knowing Portland needs it. They knew Utah needed it the other night. And NBA teams, basically what I'm saying is they like to knock off teams that need the win. And so with the extra value, there's 2 plays in that situation, the Lakers and Cleveland tonight, and then I added Houston. So that's the 3 plays.
All right. What do we got for Major League Baseball tonight, Bobby?
All right, Major League Baseball, we're getting our reads. Things are coming together. We lost the first straight bet yesterday. We came back, nailed the next 2. The Cardinals and the Angels games went exactly the way we said they would on the Grueling Truth, the Grueling Truth, our show yesterday, Mike. And we've got 3 plays still left on the card today. One of our plays already went off this morning, but we've got 3 plays left on the card, straight wagers. That's the Cardinals over the Dodgers again. The basic premise on that is we're getting value at home again with a playoff bound team in the Cardinals. We're betting against the Dodgers. The value in the Dodgers, they're just getting way overvalued, and so we're going to bet against that, especially when they throw one of their lesser tiered arms on the road. And so Ryu last night, he had to exit early, but we didn't like him laying all that on the road, and we don't like Stripling, who was hit hard in his last start. So we're going to take the Cardinals at home. We like the Giants as a top play again. And, they blew a 5-0 lead last night with their ace on the mound, and that was painful. But they've made additions to be better against left-handed pitching, and it showed last night. They put a 5 spot against Lauer, and I think they'll do the same thing tonight against Lucchesi. So I like the Giants at home. I still like their bullpen, even though they lost the game for them last night in the 7th inning. I like the Giants at home plus $1.10. And then finally, top play again is the Royals over the Mariners. This is much like the Dodgers. The Mariners and the Dodgers offenses are getting a lot of accolades and deservedly so. But when you start going on the road and having to lay money and be road favorites with less than top tier pitching, less than your 1, 2, or 3, that's dangerous. So we're going to take the Royals as a small underdog at home over the Mariners. So it's Cardinals, Giants, Royals, straight plays tonight in the MLB. If I have a minute here, Mike, I want to give out the parlay too, because this thing is got a great shot tonight. It's 3 favorites that can cover some action in case things go weird with the straight plays, and or give us a great night. This is a 3-1 play tonight. That's Oakland at 405, the Astros at 510, and the D-backs at 640. The 3 best valued favorites on the card. And so I put them all together to make a parlay. 100 gets just over 300. So it's not a big paying parlay, but at 3-1, you can put a little bit extra on this tonight, and that's got a great chance to win.
All right, Bobby. So next up, we got a little on this day. So we're going to run a quick commercial break and catch a word from our sponsor. And we'll be back to talk about on this day and a little bit of Fernando Mania from 1981. We'll be back right after this.
Hi, I'm Mike Goodpasser from the Grueling Truth Sports Network, and I'm here with just one simple message. If you're watching the games, it's time to start making money. The Grueling Truth has recently partnered with MyBookie.Ag, an industry-leading sportsbook website, who reminds you that where you bet is just as important as who you're betting on, and that's why the Grueling Truth urges you to check out MyBookie.Ag. In addition to the usual thousands of odds, money lines, proposition bets, and futures offered on MyBookie.Ag daily, they also have in-game live betting and a mobile site that makes wagering on the go easier than ever. So join now, and MyBookie will give you up to a free $1,000 cash bonus on your first deposit. Just enter promo code TGT50. That's TGT50 to take advantage of this offer. You can also go to grillingtruth.net, click the banner at the top of the page for MyBookie.Ag, and also get the same benefit and the same $1,000 free cash bonus on your first deposit. So visit MyBookie.Ag, courtesy of the Grueling Truth, and enjoy winning today. MyBookie.Ag. You play, you win, you get paid.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Sheridan Report on the Grueling Truth Sports Network. I'm Mike Goodpasser here with Bobby Sheridan. Bobby, got a little baseball to talk today, huh?
We do, Mike. I'm going to bring it up to you in just about 30 seconds. I wanted to say real quick, the ATP, we hit 2 more matchups this morning, and that's 5-1 for Monday and Tuesday. Out of the 6 matchups in the 2 tournaments going on now, we just hit our 5th out of 6, all moneyline underdogs. And so that program is going great. And we've got more tomorrow, nothing left for today, and you got the Masters coming up Thursday. So that early risers program is great. I have about 12 or 14 people that do it, and they all I got all text this morning saying, "Hey, great job, great job." Well, I don't need that, but I'm just happy that the ATP matchups are hitting this week, and it's always nice to wake up to 2 winners from Morocco. We had 2 underdogs win today, so. Just wanted to throw that out there, kind of a little advertisement for the Early Risers Club that is part of my TSR sheet that comes out.
And if you want that sheet and you want that the night before, especially for the early morning stuff, you can go to the SheridanReport.com, pay $10 a day to get the sheet, or $50 gives you the entire month.
Exactly, Mike. I just want to throw that out there, especially when it's doing well. It deserves it. So, okay, here we go, Mike. This is 1981. I'm 12 years old. You're 12 years old. We're right there, young kids just growing up, loving this game of baseball. And we had a phenomenon hit Los Angeles in 1981. The Dodgers' Fernando Valenzuela made his first start. It all started today, on this day, 1981. He beat the Astros 2-0.
All right. Now, the one thing that was interesting, I remember reading about this in Sporting News, but you remember Walter O'Malley, who moved the Dodgers to L.A. back in the late 50s. I think it was 59, somewhere around there. He moved the Dodgers. He had Sandy Koufax, and his goal was, he said, to someday have a Mexican Sandy Koufax, because he knew what it would do to the value of the organization and how much it would help Major League Baseball. Now, in late 1980, Valenzuela gets called up. I think he had 2 wins and a save through 17 and 2/3 scoreless innings, which I think a lot of people forgot about. And it gave us a glimpse in what was to come. April 9th, 1981, on this day, saw the birth of Fernando Mania. Valenzuela at the time was the number 3 starter for the Dodgers, and he was moved up to pitch the opener due to an injury to Jerry Royce, who is a friend of the show. He's been on our Legends show before. And he threw a 5-hit shutout. And it wasn't just a 5-hit shutout of a team that wasn't that good. It was the defending National League Western Division champion Houston Astros, who were loaded, had Jose Cruz, all those guys back at the time. And I think it caught everybody's attention. And what Valenzuela did in his first 8 starts was a streak for the ages, and I don't think anybody else has ever done. He had 8 wins in those first 8 starts, 7 complete games, 5 shutouts. He surrendered 4 earned runs in his first 72 innings. In over 80 innings, only Bob Gibson had a better streak, where he gave up 3 earned runs in 103 innings in 1968. And this became the biggest story, I think, in baseball, especially in 1981, but the first half of the 80s anyways, because I remember the Sporting News. I used to always get the Sporting News from my neighbor. I'd go in, I'd look at all the box scores, get the paper, look at the box scores. Hated the Dodgers because I was a Reds fan, and believe it or not, for you young kids, maybe the biggest rivalry in baseball in the 70s, early 80s was not the Yankees and Red Sox. It was the Reds and the Dodgers. And 1981, of course, was a strike-shortened season, and Fernando became the first player to ever win the Rookie of the Year and the Cy Young Awards in the same season. He beat out Tom Seaver, and last year, in 1981, Seaver went 14-2 for that Reds team that had the best record but got screwed out of going to the playoffs because of the split season. And I think to this day it may still be the closest race for Cy Young, because I think Valenzuela beat Seaver like 70-68 or 70-67. And when you look at it, Valenzuela definitely should have won this award. It shouldn't even have been close. He threw more innings in a strike-shortened season, 192 to 166 for Seaver. He had 8 shutouts to Seaver's 1, 11 complete games. Bobby, will there even be 11 complete games in this entire Major League Baseball season?
Oh, man, times have changed so much when we talk 80s pitching to now. I mean, it's a whole entirely different concept. So, no,
well,
never
and
be that.
the other thing that I remember about Valenzuela was he was a great hitter because he won the Silver Slugger Award in 1981 as the best hitter at his position. And the thing that really enhanced Fernando Mania to me is we always talk about, well, they were good in the regular season. What did they do in the playoffs? And you know, the big thing about Fernando was this is the year where he had the extra series, and he won a game in the 81 divisional series where they actually were taking 5 games, which it was a best-of-5 series, and they beat the Houston Astros. I think they won Game 5 in L.A., and I think that series, I'm not 100% sure, but I think the Astros won the first 2 at home. Dodgers won the next 3 on the road, or at home also. And then the National League Championship Series, he got a win also, and that was the series where Rick Monday? Yeah, Rick Monday hit the home run in the top of the 9th inning, which actually gave the Dodgers the win over a great Expos team. And then maybe the greatest performance of his life to me was Game 3, 1981 World Series. If you remember, you think back, 77 and 78, the Yankees had won both of those World Series 4-2. When it comes to 1981, the Yankees are favored, if I remember right, in this series, because the Yankees had just kind of smoked through the playoffs. They had a little bit of trouble in the divisional series. They beat the Brewers in 5 in New York, but they came out and just destroyed Billy Ball in Oakland in 1981. I think the 2 games in New York were both like 13-3 and 10-1, and then they swept them in Oakland. But this World Series, the Yankees came out hot, won the first 2 games at home. We're up 2-0, and that sets up Game 3. And Fernando comes out to pitch Game 3, jam-packed Dodger Stadium. The whole world's watching. And he comes out, and, you know, we got a pitch count nowadays. If he throws 90 pitches, he's got to sit down. Well, Fernando did not have his best stuff in that Game 3. Now, I don't remember much about Fernando after this. I just remember Fernando up to here because I think he pitched one of the most gut-wrenching games I've ever seen. He comes out and he throws 147 pitches. He pitches all 9 innings. He wins 5-4, and this is a Yankee lineup. Remember, it had, you know, Dave Winfield. I think Reggie Jackson. Was Jackson still there in 81?
No. I think he had. Was he still there in 81?
I'm not sure. I know he was with the Angels by 82. But I remember you had Dave Winfield. You still had Greg Nettles. This was a loaded team, and he did not have his best stuff. He works his ass off, throws almost 150 pitches in 9 innings, gets the win, and the Dodgers go on to win the next 3 games. They win Game 6 at Dodger Stadium to wrap up the title. Was it at Dodger? Because I think they lost the first 2 at home. They came back in Game 3. I think that was at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, I think the
it was because I remember they won Game 6 9-2 at Yankee Stadium. So Game 3 would have been at L.A. They lost the first 2 in New York. Yeah, he gets Game 3.
Dusty Baker and Pedro Guerrero had big games in that Game 6. We talked about Dusty Baker yesterday.
Yeah, I think they both hit home runs in that game, didn't they? I know Guerrero did. Yes. But he was, to me, he was the reason they won that World Series because without that gutty performance and winning Game 3, I don't think they win that series. And the thing that was interesting about the Dodgers that year, 1981, was their average attendance in 1980, and that was a good team. 1980 was a close 3-way race between the Astros, Reds, and Dodgers, which the Astros ended up winning. But their average attendance in 1980 was 40,000. Their average attendance increased to 48,000 the next year. And the thing that's the most impressive is this. The road attendance for their road games in 1980, the average attendance was 20,000. Once Fernando Mania started, the average attendance was 34,000. So over the decade of the 80s, their home attendance was up by an average of 7,000 people a game, and the road attendance was up by an average of 6,000 people a game. I think that was a direct correlation with Fernando and bringing in the Mexican audience. And I think it really helped baseball really expand to another audience because I don't think that there was ever a Mexican player that really did a whole lot before him except for, who was the guy, I think his name was Oliva in 1954, who I think maybe won a batting title.
Yeah, with the Twins, Tony Oliva.
No, not Tony Oliva. It was, I think it was Rudy Oliva.
Okay, no, I wasn't aware of that. I'm sorry, Mike. Yeah, Tony Oliva was the 70s. What am I thinking?
Well, Tony was 60s, 70s. I think Tony was mainly 60s because he was on that 65 Twins team that went to the World Series. But it's Bobby Oliva. Bobby Oliva in 1954 won the American League batting championship. And I think up until when Fernando won his awards, he was the only Mexican player that had won a big trophy.
Yeah, Mike, you got me on that one. I wasn't aware of him at all. But what I will say regarding the attendance and the Dodgers is just incredible. You're right, what it did for the Mexican fan base everywhere, but particularly in Los Angeles, because as people know, there's a huge Mexican base in Los Angeles, and it brought that community together, supporting the Dodgers. And when he would pitch, the place was crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, it was just crazy, Mike. I remember watching the videos and seeing some of the game. Not like now, but
not this week in baseball. They'd show it.
Yeah, they'd show it. I mean, the fans hanging over the railings and the Fernando Mania T-shirts that they were selling, and this really was a mania. They called it Fernando Mania, and it really was. And he delivered, and he's still an announcer for the Dodgers on the Mexican broadcast.
Yeah, the Spanish-speaking broadcast. Yeah,
right.
Because but he was the first huge Mexican player. Because if you look at it, you had Latino stars that had come from the Caribbean, like Roberto Clemente, who was Puerto Rican, or Juan Marichal, who was Dominican.
Right.
But he was really the first Mexican, and I think that. You could the extraordinary value of the Dodgers today started with Fernando Mania, because I think that's where everything blew up. You could see that in 1980 they averaged 39, 40,000 a game. The rest of that decade they're averaging 45 to 50 most of the decade.
Exactly, and you go back to that 81 series, they're down 2-0, and it all comes back to Fernando. And Tommy Lasorda refused to take him out of the game. He believed so much in this kid, who they call him a kid. I think he was supposed to be 21 or something, but there's rumors that he was more like 28 or, who knows the truth on that. But that's no joke either. I mean, they think he may have altered his age for the Dodgers to sign him at so young. But regardless, Tommy Lasorda refused to take him out. He wins the ball game, as you said, 5-4, and they go on to win that series. And that was so big for that organization. They had lost in 77 and 78 to the Yankees, and this was a rematch just 2 years later, which they were lucky to even be in the playoffs because of, the strike. The Reds and the Expos, I think, had better records than the Dodgers, right?
In 1981, the Reds, the Cardinals had the best record in the East, and the Reds had the best.
Oh, the Cardinals.
The Reds had the best record in the West.
Yeah, yet Montreal played the Dodgers for the pennant, and that's, as you said, Monday hit the big home run, and they got the save there, and they closed it out, and here we are in the World Series, and the Dodgers. Then Gibson wins the dramatic '88 World Series. They won in '81 and '88, and they haven't won since. And This is the Los Angeles Dodgers.
They've been close though, and then of course in '85 they lost in the NLCS when Ozzie Smith hit the dramatic Game 6 home run.
And I was there that day, Mike. I was there that day.
For the
I went to that ball game with my father. He took me. Called
the game in St. Louis.
No. You said Ozzie Smith. I meant
Ozzie Smith didn't win the series. He made it 3-2, and then they came back to L.A. and the Cardinals beat him there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was at the Jack Clark game. The next game, Mike, that wrapped it up. I was at Dodger Stadium. You're right. I jumped the gun there. I was at the Jack Clark game when he hit the home run off.
Actually, you didn't
Tour.
jump the gun. I forgot about the Jack Clark game and just remembered the Ozzie Smith game. So
yeah, well, we put it together between us both. We put it together, and the big thing there was '85. Andy Van Slyke is second and third, and Andy Van Slyke is up, and Lasorda had his closer in there, which was Niedenfuer at the time, Tom Niedenfuer, and he walked Andy Van Slyke 2 outs to get to Jack Clark because he liked the righty-righty matchup. And I swear to you, I'm, what am I, 16 years old or something, and I'm saying, how do you walk anybody to get to Jack Clark? First pitch, he hit it 500 feet in the stands. That's the one decision that Tommy Lasorda will never live down. It was a really bad mistake, and then they go on and have that.
Well, don't you think really the biggest mistake is having Tom Niedenfuer as your main closer?
Well, maybe, but he was a hard-throwing right-hander at the time, and the Dodgers, But hey, look at that. I mean, they win the '88 thing, and then they.
Well, how about this? Who was the big pitcher that struck out Reggie Jackson in '70? It's Steve Howe, or was it Steve Howe?
No. That was Bob Welch.
Oh, that was Bob Welch there, but they had Steve Howe, I think, in '81. And didn't he have a lot of drug issues or something?
Yeah, Steve Howe was caught for cocaine, I think, 3 different times.
Well, I think half Major League Baseball was in the early '80s, though.
Well, you're probably right about that. And
remember the Pittsburgh drug trial?
Yes, and then you got Bob Welch, who struck out Reggie Jackson, who was a Rookie of the Year. The Dodgers had a string of Rookie of the Years. Steve Sachs was in there. Steve Howe was in there. Bob Welch, and he strikes out Reggie Jackson. He has a bright future, which he's still fulfilled with the Oakland A's. But he had to go through sobriety. He was alcoholic. Bob Welch was, and he got sober and became a really good pitcher with the Oakland A's. And on their World Series team, he was a big part of that with Dave Stewart, who also was an ex-Dodger. And Dave Stewart got caught, just like Dwight Howard did. He got caught with a prostitute who was a she-male.
Oh, man. Usually I'm the one that comes up with the new stuff, but that's a new one for me, Bobby. A she-male.
Yeah, well.
So did he finish the deed, or did he find out it was a she-male and then he left?
I think he found out. I think Dwight Howard knew, and I think Dave Stewart found out and punched she in the mouth. He got he got in trouble.
So Howard went ahead and did it, or what?
Well, Dwight Howard, the rumor is that he knew about it. So that's, I don't know if he's been on the injury list the whole year since that came out. So I don't even know. I don't know what's going to happen with Dwight Howard. That's not good street cred in the NBA. But anyways, I know we got off the rails a little bit, but that's all true.
No, you got off the rails a little bit, Bobby. But go ahead.
Yeah, I did. But Mike, you know me. I mean, that's all true. And so there was a lot of wacky stuff. And,
Steve Howe died in 2006.
Yeah, he had a car accident. He was either driven off the road or hit in the freeway or something. Is how I remember that. I'm pretty sure that I'm right on that, but I'm not looking it up.
Hold on, I'm looking it up right now just to find out, because I just punched in Steve Howe to see how long he played before he.
Yeah, I think he was killed in a car crash, Mike. Sorry if I'm wrong about that, but that's how my memory serves me.
April 28th, 2006, Steve Howe's pickup truck rolled over in Coachella, California, and he was killed.
Yes.
The toxicology reports following the autopsy indicated he had methamphetamine in his system. Well, son of a bitch.
Yeah, there's just, he was just sad. That was his whole life, and there was just no other ending for a guy like that. He was just, drugs was a huge part of his whole life.
He was a hell of a pitcher in 1980.
He was great, and so the Dodgers organization was a little bit snake bit, and they have been since '88, since that miracle Kirk Gibson World Series, and the organization's come back pretty strong here in the last few years and gone to the World Series twice in a row, and they're favored as of right now to get there to the third one as of right now. So. Anyhow, Mike, yeah, the good memories about Fernando Mania and what he did for the Dodgers and the Mexican culture, the Mexican community.
All right. It's always interesting on this day. All right, guys, make sure you pick up the Sheridan Report, $10 a day or $50 a month at thesheridanreport.com. You can follow Bobby at Sheridan Report. Make sure you go check out MyBookie.Ag. Click the banner at the top of the GruelingTruth.net page to get up to $1,000 cash bonus on your first deposit. 50% of whatever you put in, they will add back to your account. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up. I want to remind everybody, Inside Boxing Daily, after about a week's hiatus because of the tournament, really about 3 weeks hiatus, we'll be back with a weekly boxing show tonight at 11 o'clock with me and Jeremiah. Tomorrow at noon, we'll have Brian Hammonds, formerly from the Golf Channel, now has a golf show in Indianapolis. Also on the GruelingTruth.net, we'll be on to preview the Masters. Him and Steve Risley will preview that. And then we'll have Sam McGinnis, one of our hockey writers, come in to preview the NHL playoffs tomorrow. So make sure you check that out. And, of course, me and Bobby will be back tomorrow at 2 o'clock Eastern. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up for tonight. I want to tell everybody you can hear all of our shows on Spotify, iHeartRadio, iTunes, TuneIn, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you find sports podcasts. You'll find The Grueling Truth. So for Bobby Sheridan, I'm Mike Goodpasture. You've been listening to The Grueling Truth, where the legends speak.